Welcome to the first episode of my podcast, where we dive deep into the world of information. My name is Yvonne Otieno, and we're going to talk about the building blocks of knowledge, that is primary and secondary sources. What is a source anyway? So a source is simply a piece of information that provides evidence for a claim. Think of it as a witness to a historical event or a scientific discovery. So primary sources are eyewitnesses accounts. A primary source, I can say, is a first-hand account of information created by people who were directly involved and witnessed those events. These sources offer a unique perspective and can provide very valuable insights. So primary sources are like historical documents, things like diaries, letters, government records, legal documents. We also have creative works like poems, novels, plays, and musical compositions. A photograph or a video is also a primary source if it is used to record the visual records of an event. An interview done to someone who witnessed an event, or a survey about the direct accounts from an individual also qualify as primary sources. Then lastly, we have scientific research, which include original research papers or lab notes that is taken by someone who has done the research. Then on to the secondary sources. These, in other words, are the interpreters. So to say, they interpret the primary sources. Secondary sources, they analyze, interpret, or summarize primary sources. So they provide context, analysis, and a broader perspective of an event. An example is a textbook which can give a comprehensive overview of a subject. Let's say it's talk about library studies. A textbook on library studies has events from different people that has been researched, and those have been analyzed and put together. We also have biographies and histories. If you write a biography about an historical event or an historical person, it qualifies as a secondary events. We also have review articles, which summarizes research on a specific topic, or documentaries, which present factual information based on individuals or events or occurrences. So why primary sources? What are the power of the primary sources? So primary sources offer a unique level of authenticity and detail. They allow you to connect directly with the past and understand the world from the perspective of those who lived through those events. However, they can be challenging to interpret, as they often require historical context and critical thinking skills. You have to actually be there, even though you are not there. So to say, you must put yourself in the shoes of those who actually witnessed those events. So how about secondary sources? So secondary sources are essential for understanding complex topics and synthesizing information from multiple primary sources. So they can help us identify patterns, draw conclusions, and develop new insights. However, it is important to be aware that secondary sources can be inaccurate, so it is crucial to evaluate them critically. I mean, someone can just decide to interpret an event based on their own thinking. So you have to critically evaluate them for you to be sure that it is the actual analysis of the primary event or the primary source. So how do you evaluate sources? Whether you are using primary or secondary sources, it is important to evaluate their credibility. For instance, look at the authoritativeness. Is the author or the creator qualified to write on a subject? if you find a diary talking about binding, and it is done by someone who has never done that activity, that one tells you that they are not credible enough. But a music written by a musician who is a well-known musician confirm the authority of that information. Then look at the accuracy of that information. Is it factual? Is it well supported? Are there some evidence? Then look at the objectivity. Is the information presented without bias? Check the currency of the information. How up to date is that information? And then finally, look at the purpose. Was the information intended for that audience? Or what is the purpose of that sources? So, by understanding the difference between primary and secondary sources and how to evaluate them, we can become more discerning consumers of information. By combining the richness of primary sources with the clarity of secondary sources, we can develop a deeper understanding of the world around us. Thank you for joining us. Rather, thank you for joining me today. Remember, the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong journey. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep questioning. Until next time, goodbye.